much equipment available these days. If only someone recorded a nice comprehensive guide about everything I might want when I'm launching my new station next year. Hey, I can do that. Rowan, have you got an hour?
This video is made by Radio.co. To start your free Radio.co trial in seconds, head to Radio.co and click on the pricing page. Ho, 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 hello! Phil here from Radio.co, and if you cast your minds back to December 2022, I did a video all about getting all of your ducks in a row ahead of launching your own internet radio station in 2023. Now I hope... in fact, I'm very confident that some of you who watched that guide have since gone on to launch your own growing and thriving radio station using some of those tips that I discussed. Now, don't worry if that's not the case for you watching today, as all of that guidance I shared is still more than relevant if you were to instead launch your own internet radio station, say, next year in 2024 and beyond, I suppose. So because of that, I'm not actually revisiting any of those points today. But what I am revisiting is a section I did all about different equipment bundles that you may want to ask old Father Christmas for. So over the last 12 months, some fantastic pieces of equipment have since either graced our paths or left our minds. So I've gone and bundled a few together under some of the best kit out there that'll help you fresh out the best home studio you can find. Now, first of all, before I tear into any of this, and don't worry, I will, it will sound gloriously loud through my microphone, I'm sure, I just wanted to go over the minimum equipment needed. And this is something that I mention to everyone every time I do a demonstration of the software or in webinars past. You need very, very little to actually get up and running. And in fact, nothing other than a decent computer and an internet connection is all you need to power our software and get on air in no time at all. And computer-wise, people always ask me about specs. Because our software, Radio.co, is entirely cloud-based, it means it doesn't actually rely on your computer power. It thinks more highly of your internet connection than the actual insides of your computer. So for that reason, you really don't need anything that's hugely powerful. Just a normal, everyday working computer that you might be using, for work or for school or just generally just browsing in an evening. That, I'm sure, will be more than perfect. Specifically, you want a Windows or Mac computer. Chromebooks are all right for powering the station, but if you intend to broadcast live, then you want to avoid them at all costs because, as far as we are aware, there are no encoders, no extra software that actually permits you to broadcast live that is compatible with the Chrome operating system. They're usually built specifically for Windows, Mac, and occasionally iOS specifically. So, a Windows or a Mac computer and an internet connection. And related to the internet as well, again, people ask me about internet speeds. Again, because it's all cloud-based, if your station is in automation, so it's being powered by itself, or rather our servers, your computer doesn't even need to be on. You don't need power, you don't need internet at all. So your internet is only needed if you intend on broadcasting live. And the minimum specifications for that, I would say, is an upload speed of about 2 megabytes per second, which is actually quite small. You will want, if possible and where possible, a wired internet connection when you are broadcasting live, just to assist with the reliability of staying connected for a broadcast. But as long as you have at least 2 megabytes of upload speed, you should be okay. Obviously, the faster the internet that you have available, then obviously that will make uploading tracks a lot easier and obviously your streaming of your station a lot more successful. But the absolute minimum before you buy anything else is just your internet connection and a computer and our software subscription to Radio.co, and that's it. You can begin uploading music, building playlists, and putting your station into automation. Now, after that, we go into very, very basic equipment. And these are the things, again, if people ask me, do I need microphones and headphones and things? So this first gift, this first bundle, if you will, is just this tiny little box here. And I've priced this around, I'd say, £100 to £150. So what, $120, $180, something around like that. And this is the bare minimum equipment you need if you at least want to have a vocal presence on your radio station. So let's open this up and see what I picked and what I bundled under this Christmas tree. so excited. It's not even Christmas for another month and I'm excited. Okay, so we got here what looks like a box of hot chocolate. There's hot chocolate that's not inside, but there's definitely hot products inside, as we have got, as I mentioned, just a simple USB-powered microphone and a pair of headphones. Now, the ones I've chosen specifically are, we have our Rode NT USB Mini and the stand that comes with it here. Now, the reason I've picked this one is just because, well, first of all, it conveniently fitted in the box I could find, but there are other microphones available. You will find a trend, so I'm just going to be completely transparent now, that a lot of the bundled equipment I'm going to be talking about just so happens to be Rode. And, you know, if you've watched a lot of our videos and our blogs and just us talking passionately about broadcasting in any way, you do know that we do shout about Rode an awful lot. In fact, you know, we're using a RODEcaster Pro 2 here to record this audio. And, you know, it's not that we've got some favoritism particularly towards Rode, it's just that they happen to produce fantastic, consistent pieces of equipment across the microphones, headphones, you know, accessories, mixers and things like that. And they do cater for a number of different budgets and needs and situations. So I think they are an incredibly versatile brand. So that's why you will find that a lot of the equipment in here happens to be Rode, just to make you aware. And this one in particular is one that I used to own myself, the Rode NT USB, one of my first microphones. In fact, it was the one that came first, the predecessor to this microphone, the regular NT USB. But the reason I mainly picked this is because you can pick this up still for about £100, $100 or so. And the fact that it comes with a microphone stand as well means you don't need to invest in any additional stands and boom arms and things like that. So it can be a good entry-level microphone to use. It's USB-C, so just you plug it straight into there. You plug your headphones into that. But it's a great little handy mic. It's incredibly portable as well. It's heavy. It's a bit just a durable microphone, so it's definitely going to survive being carted around in a backpack while you go and podcast or broadcast somewhere. But for just a very basic setting up your home studio, yeah, I think this is a fantastic little microphone to use. I say there are plenty of others available, but this one in particular, I think, is one that's been tried and tested personally. As for headphones, again, I've just stuck to a very just standard budgeted brand here. We've got Behringer. Behringer known for making consistently cheap, not cheap in terms of quality. They produce some really good, just durable pieces of equipment, microphones, mixers and things, but cheap in sense of like, you know, if you are wanting to get a reliable brand that you know you can very easily afford, Behringer is usually the first that you will go to if you just want basic stuff that isn't necessarily the most attractive piece of equipment on the menu, but you know it's going to work and you know it's going to definitely do its job. So these particular headphones, these HPM 1000s, again, these are very cheap. They're not the most comfortable or they're not the best sounding headphones, sorry. But yeah, all you need to do really is hear your own voice or hear any cues coming off the piece of equipment you want to use. So yeah, you know, you don't need to get terribly fancy with your headphones. But of course you may want to, like my everyday headphones are a pair of Sony XM4s, so I would potentially use them for my broadcasting. It just so happens they're a few £100s, but they're just my everyday headphones. So, you know, you don't need to get a specific extra pair of headphones for your broadcasting if you've got a decent pair already. But so that's kind of at the first budget. You know, you might seem a lot. I'm spending $100 to $150 or so just on two pieces of kit. But the trick with the microphone is there are tons and tons of big pieces of equipment that you can purchase very cheaply, very easily off the likes of Amazon, for example. And, you know, whereas they may do the job short term, you're also going to be looking at long term. You know, do I want to spend $50 on a microphone that I may need to replace in a year's time? Or would I rather spend something that's twice that for something that is probably going to serve me a lot longer, something that's more reputable, like you know, specifically like a Rode piece of equipment here. I will give an honourable shout out if I just pick it up here. An honourable shout out to one of these Amazon alternatives. It's actually from a brand that we've reviewed a bit of kit for in the past. I was going to say Moana, then it's definitely not Moana, but the Mauno or Mono. We've reviewed, you know, and done content using these microphones, and they have little mixers and they have you know, microphone stands and things. And this is definitely a sort of brand that you would see on the likes of Amazon. And you know, it's still a reputable brand. It's still built cheaply, but they aren't necessarily cheap quality in terms of the sound quality. This microphone in particular you can pick up for about £90, $90. So again, it's still not cheap, but these are the sort of brands that you would find on Amazon and Amazon Marketplace. So still decent, still worth looking into if you're not too bothered about getting something more branded and saving yourself a little bit of money. So here's just some alternatives for you there. But yeah, you want to spend, I'd say, around £100, $100 is a good benchmark for getting a good microphone that you don't need to replace quite so soon. So that's budget number 1. Okay, down to the next bundle. Bundle number 2 is actually not this one, despite it being at the top. It's just been neatly put there, just so it doesn't get crushed by the other ones. I'll put them to the side right now. So it should be this one. Fingers crossed, eh? Bundle number 2. Let's find out. Oh, excited stuff. I must say, quite well put together. There we go. Excellent. So this is our bundle number 2. If I can just about reach it. There we go. Terrible microphone skills, I know. Okay, so what have I got in here? I've got quite a lot of goodies here. Now, this is a bit difficult to price, this one. I've put this one just as £500 or $500 plus. It's probably looking towards a bit more like $700 or so, but that's just because I've put extra things in that you may want to consider or may just want to plan for in the future. It doesn't necessarily have to mean you have to spend all this money in one go. So the first thing I'm going to pick out here is the microphone, of course. So we are now upgrading from a tiny USB microphone to an XLR microphone with an audio interface or a mixer. Now, the mixer, first of all, actually I'm going to use this one that I've picked here, is actually an audio interface. I think it's one that I took and actually included last year, which is the RODEcaster 2 from Focusrite. Now, the reason I've selected this is just because, well, it's not the cheapest audio interface in the world, but the Focusrite range of audio interfaces are probably one of the most well-known. We still use every day. I use every day a Scarlett 2i2. They still release new generations of those because they are, again, they're reputable and they are noticeable. People know what the Focusrite 2i2 is from the Scarlett 2i2 is. This is their latest sort of reinvention of it, the RODEcaster 2. Obviously 2 because it accompanies 2 microphone ports in there, so perfect as a growing studio. You may not be necessarily broadcasting purely on your own, but you may now be broadcasting, with a guest occasionally or something like that. So this will accompany you for 2 microphone inputs. But it's also got really handy things like it's got Bluetooth built into it, which is so... When you think about the grand scheme of things of what's important to a piece of kit, Bluetooth, I think, gets undervalued a little bit because it is so useful to have, because you can zap a caller across to this, no problem. You can, if you've got a bit of audio or a trailer perhaps, or a clip from something as part of your show or news broadcast or something, you can just zap it across without having to plug anything specific into it or use another piece of software. Just, send it across from your phone or your tablet or something. So because of that, it has to be this particular model opposed to the more famous, more well-known, more respected Scarlett 2i2. It also comes with a tiny bit of free software as well. I mean, the Scarlett did as well, but this allows you to digitally alter the levels of the Bluetooth coming in and the microphones coming in, and you can mute them, you can auto gain and things like that. It's a fantastic little piece of kit. It's pricey, but it's there is an alternative you can use as well. But I've put this in here just because it's sleek, it's small, it's compact, it's portable as well, and it's capable of a lot more things than a regular audio interface can do. Now, as for the microphone to go with it, I've selected 2. First of all, I was debating putting this in the more expensive one, but it is slightly cheaper than the one that we picked in there. And I've gone for the Logitech Blue Sona. Now, this was probably, it was definitely mine, probably a lot of the other team members here at Radio.co. Biggest sort of surprise in terms of equipment that we did last year. Because this is a formidable microphone. This is, for me, I think, if I didn't already have a Shure SM7B and I hadn't had much experience using one of those, I probably would have picked up one of these instead. It's still pretty pricey. We're looking at, £200 to £300 for it. A bit cheaper than something like the Shure SM7B, which we'll be seeing shortly. But this produced for me anyway a fantastic rich voice that sort of compares very closely to the microphone that I'm using right now, and also it's just a little bit different. Every man and his dog's got a Shure SM7B. I want something a little bit different. Again, I say that this is going to be in the more expensive bundle just because it's my favorite microphone in general, but the Logitech Blue Sona is a fantastic addition, and I definitely think it's something that you should consider using. It's a gorgeous microphone. It's a very powerful piece of kit. As an alternative, I've actually put in Rowan's favourite microphone of recent times, which is, again, the Rode NT1, specifically the brand new 5th generation of it. Now, this is billed as a spit guard and your shock mount for around £200, about say $150 to $200 Rowan is very, very impressed with this microphone. I can't say I've used it myself that much, but again, if you're looking for a second microphone, this is why it's a bit more expensive, because if you're going to accommodate 2 people in your radio station, your show, then you may as well look at additional microphones to use. He would definitely hold his head high proudly and declare that this is a fantastic microphone. And again, it's a cheaper option. You may want to get this opposed to something more expensive like this. So there are options there for you. This Rode NT1 5th generation specifically, I think they've recently released they're going to be releasing other iterations and versions of them as well, because they are incredibly popular, particularly amongst podcasters looking for an all-in-one kit. I'll say it comes with a lot of accessories. So this is a fantastic addition here, and that's why I've added that in as a little extra. Again, moving more Rode-related paraphernalia, we've got the NTH 100Ms. Again, a bit more expensive than you would necessarily want to use, but it is just an option. You may be very, very happy using the headphones that you did in the introductory bundle or your everyday bundle. This is just as an alternative. The reason I've put this in this supposedly cheaper bundle than the more expensive one is because particularly this one here has the microphone, the detachable microphone, and you may want to use this as a second guest host microphone instead. So rather than splashing out an extra £200 on a microphone like this, you may want to just give your guest maybe that little microphone. Yeah, it's not going to sound as crystal clear as an actual microphone, but it's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I've got headphones which also have a pretty decent microphone built onto them as well. So this is just an option as an alternative to kits that you may want for a guest specifically. That's why it's a bit more expensive than it necessarily has been advertised as. Of course, you've got your cables, your XLR cable for your microphone, depending on how many you're using, will determine how many you need of these. These are cheap. These are like £5 or so. So, it's always worth getting as many of those as you can. And the other thing as well I wanted to is about a boom arm. Boom arms and microphone stands generally do the same thing. Some of them just have options for, they're a bit more portable, a bit more easy to use. They are a bit more sturdy, durable. So we've got, I think this is a pretty cheap one that we're using here particularly, but we've used ones by a brand called Yellowtech and Blue. And they all more or less do the same thing. They're just capable of being a bit more durable. They don't want to crack and stuff, and they're a bit more longevity. The one I've picked here actually is just more from a gimmick. We reviewed this not too long ago. Again, another Amazon brand. That's why I'm sort of mentioning about it. You can get these everywhere, but this is a sort of brand that you would see quite frequently on Amazon. Joby. We've looked at some Joby microphones, little microphone stands, and this is one of their boom arms here. And comparing it to other cheap ones that we've used before, this is definitely of a different caliber. I feel like this is actually a very well made, sort of durable plastic, nice looking as well, a boom arm here. But the real centerpiece of this is that. Look at that. Get a little cup stand with it as well. How cool is that? You can do your show and also put a little mug of tea or beer or Cosmo, whatever your drinking choice is when you're broadcasting. So just for something a bit gimmicky, just to say, hey, this is really unnecessary, but I think it's pretty cool. Why not aspire to have a little studio where it is stuff like that? To summarize here, it doesn't really matter what kinds of equipment it is that you're getting. This particular bundle I'm talking about, the £500 to £700 sort of price tag I put on it isn't necessarily referring to the cost of this specific equipment. This specific equipment is probably looking more towards $1,000. It's mainly just giving you a guide that for around £500, these are the things you may want to get, such as a boom arm. You might want to get headsets, 2 microphones. I think it's more about the costs of just things in general rather than these specific examples I've got. But this is just to give you an idea, again, what's available out there. So, here I've chosen, as I say, the RODEcaster 2 audio interface from Focusrite, a Joby boom arm, the Logitech Blue Soma, the Rode NTH 100Ms, and the Rode NT1 microphone here. So there we go. That's say bundle 2. There's a lot more things going on, but that's because you are expanding your station. You no longer just need a microphone and a pair of headphones. You're going to need a bit more setup, a bit more stuff to give you a few more tools and tricks up your sleeve. So what on earth is the final bundle going to bring? And finally, we have bundle number 3, which is roughly looking at from the £1,000, $1,000 price point. And again, just to reiterate what I mentioned in bundle 2, that price tag isn't specifically relating to the equipment that I've picked. It's just more to give you an idea that, you may want to consider this item and this kind of a piece of equipment. And of course, that all totals up. This is just to give you an idea on what the available equipment is that we've particularly chosen. And I'll go through the reasons for that. So here we go. It comes in 2 parcels because there's so much that I want for £1,000 upwards. So let's have a look what we've got here, first of all. Again, some glorious sounds coming through. Okay. Lovely. Another big box here, but the one I'm actually going to start with is this one here, because this is the main things that we're going to be using for our broadcasting here. And again, because there were insufficient boxes, I had to use 2. Here we go. So inside of these, this box in particular, first of all, is what we're going to be using to actually handle our broadcast. And to no one's surprise, the microphone of choice is struggling to get out. The microphone of choice is the Shure SM7B. I could have just pointed to this one, but where's the point? Where's the fun in not wrapping this up? But here we go. So the Shure SM7B, it's an incredibly just standard microphone across professional studios. It's what I enjoy using. I feel it complements my voice well, at least. I've had that same thought for the last few years. That's why I own one myself. And it's why we use it pretty much every video we do, because I think it's just an unrivaled microphone. Some people do have their own preferences. A lot of people still tut and roll their eyes every time someone mentions one of these, because there are plenty of alternatives, such as the Logitech Blue Soma, as I mentioned before. But this is the microphone that I would choose and I would steer towards for using for my broadcasting. So here we go, a Shure SM7B, of course, as if it was going to be anything else. And the actual sort of mixer that I've decided to put inside here, mainly because it fit really nicely in the box, is actually the RODEcaster Duo. Now, this comes down to a personal preference and need, really, of how many inputs do you need. So, the great thing about the RODEcaster Duo, in comparison to the RODEcaster Pro 2, is that the Duo is capable of doing everything the Pro 2 can do. It's just got 2 microphone inputs instead of 4. That's literally it. So if you know that you're not going to be using any more than 2 inputs, you may just be only using 1. That's what I use. I don't use anything else. Then, a RODEcaster Duo is probably the way to go. It's a lot more compact. It's easy to slot in anywhere in your home studio, regardless of what size, what form it takes. You've still got all your hotkeys on there. It's a very, very powerful, very easy to use kit. But of course, if you would like the RODEcaster Pro 2, then that's our favorite piece of kit. Again, I'll be totally transparent. A lot of these boxes do contain Rode kit, and the RODEcaster Pro 2 is, of course, the best sort of mixer for our particular needs and our broadcasting habits and wants and likes, really. So I would say the RODEcaster Pro 2 for my particular needs, but this, if you really don't need much need for any other microphone, you don't need 4 inputs. I don't need 4 inputs. Then, the RODEcaster Duo is the way to go there. So you're looking at the Duo and the Shure SM7B there. obviously, as we know, these are already pretty expensive. I think the RODEcaster Duo has come down in price since we did the first video all about it, which is great. But what else have I considered here to make the price so high? These are more, there are some essentials. You've got your headphones in particular. I've chosen the Beyerdynamic, which one's the DT770 Pros. And again, these are just fantastic close-backed headphones. You'll find these up and down pretty much most studios in the world. They are just very useful, very versatile. And they're actually not the most expensive pair of headphones in the world. These can still retail for, 100 plus, 150 or so. I think my particular pair, I think I paid a little bit less than 100 when I got mine. So, as I said, you might think, well, why didn't I put this in the last one? I kind of just wanted to show a variety of different equipment available, really. That's the excuse of it. But yeah, if you want a professional setup, these are comfortable. They're not the most attractive, but they do the absolute job and the best job. So the headphones are essential. You have, of course, got your XLR cables there. What I've chosen for the boom arm, again, alluded to it before, again, the Rode PSA 1 Plus, I think they're called, these ones. It's definitely the PSA ones, the first iteration of it. But again, just a nice, reliable, sturdy boom arm. Doesn't have a fancy cup holder like the Joby one does. But it's a good, reliable piece of kit. This is one that I have at home as well. You're going to be having a lot of use for it. The other things are kind of optionals, but will absolutely come with a lot of benefits for your radio stations. First of all, you've got your second microphone. You could very well use the Rode NT1. As I mentioned before, I think it's a fantastic backup microphone. But just to show a bit of a wide variety of other things on offer there, this is another fantastic microphone which complements definitely my voice very, very well. And it was actually one I did contemplate getting before I purchased my Shure SM7B. It is the Electro-Voice RE320. I remember sort of our founder, James, being a big advocate for these particular microphones. And again, just something alternative. You may prefer to talk with something that's a little bit more... it's all the grills on it. It's got a bit of an old school aesthetic to it. But this is a fantastic microphone. I believe we've still got some old content about that one if you want to see what it sounds like. But just to show you different brands, different names that are out there, the Electro-Voice is a fantastic microphone. So that's just there to give you a little glimpse into that. Now, another thing I've added into here isn't these days that essential, particularly if you are using something that has some really powerful, really good preamps built into the piece of kit, such as the RODEcaster Pro does that. The Mackie DLZ Creator that we've reviewed in the past has that. A lot of modern kit these days can give power-hungry microphones like the Shure SM7B a lot of power. But if you're using something that's a bit relatively old, or you're using a bit of a cheaper audio interface, then you will want to use something like an external preamp. This one in particular is probably the most well-known one. It's the Cloud Lifter. We used to use these in our podcasting studio for Radio.co and Podcast.co, and these just give the Shure SM7Bs and any power-hungry dynamic microphone a lot more power. The idea is that if you are plugging this Shure SM7B into an audio interface, before I had my RODEcaster Pro, I was plugging into a piece of equipment called the Behringer UMC, the Behringer Euphoria UMC 404 HD. I know, snappy title. Great audio interface. That's, again, Behringer. I bought it because it was cheap and it had 4 inputs in it, and it's served me very, very well for a number of years. But when I plugged in my Shure SM7B, in order to get a nice, clear, loud sound from it, I had to put my gain all the way to, let's say, it was about 90 to 95% all the way round on my on the gain for it, which meant there was little room for me to actually increase that. I was almost at maximum, and if it's slightly down, you couldn't really hear me. Using something like this, or another one that I've used in the past, in fact I still have, the FET head. This basically runs off phantom power, and it takes off a lot of that sort of gain for you. So it means that I plug this in, this takes a lot of the power, gives this a boost, and now my Shure SM7B is now using maybe sort of like 50% gain, 60% or so. So it means that I can turn it up by a good few percentage if I wanted to, if needs be. So yeah, if you are using something which doesn't have inbuilt preamps, then having an actual external preamp is something that is incredibly necessary for these fantastic sort of dynamic microphones. So Cloud Lifter comes in a few different shapes and sizes. The FET head is the one that I used, still have. So these are options for you. They may not be necessary, but they are there. The other things, again, are not necessary, but they are things that are worth considering if you are going whole hog and you want to really make this into a broadcasting enterprise. You know, you want to go out and do a lot of things. So I've picked, again, an expensive piece of kit. You don't need to get this particular one. Just to show you an idea, this is the Zoom H8. We've done some great content about this in the past as the predecessor to this, the Zoom H6. And this is really if you wanted to go out and about and be able to do a full-scale radio station with all your kit, all your microphones and everything, just anywhere you wanted to. So the beauty of internet radio and using something like Radio.co is it's entirely portable with it being cloud-based. So as long as you've got an internet connection, you know, you can broadcast from anywhere you want. You can just plug a little mixer in or a USB mic and then away you go. This would arguably allow you to be capable to kind of run a studio a little bit more efficiently. You know, you can plug several microphones into this and record things directly into this. You know, you can take it as a roving reporter and just, you know, record things out and about, recording raw audio. You could do a live session. So if you're doing live music sessions and you want to record the session, or even just broadcast it in general, plug every instrument microphone into this, run that through to your radio station or your mixer, and that's it. You've got a full recording session that you can mix and do your own way. So again, this is an absolute, not unnecessary, but this is an absolute sort of out of the box add-on to it. But again, this is just a way that you can further the capabilities of your radio station by capturing live performances and having pretty much a studio able to be plugged in wherever you find yourself, in a field even. The other things to kind of cover are things that are a bit more on the essential side of things, still not absolutely necessary to get right from the off, but definitely things to think about, and they are cameras or web cameras. These ones in particular were sent to us by eMeet. They are the eMeet Stream Cam 1. And these are great, handy little pieces of kit, similar to the Logitech Mevos that we covered sort of in the past. These allow you to set up multiple cameras. So you could set up 3, for example, have a little multi-camera studio set up in play. They sync together and they allow you to stream directly to the likes of Facebook and Twitch and YouTube and things like that. And I've personally harped on about it a lot, but you really can't deny the power and the capabilities that video brings to your radio station. Not only does it help you stream to these alternative platforms like YouTube, where your audience is maybe just solely residing in, and it gives people a glimpse of you singing and dancing while you're doing your songs or interviewing people. But they also help you create content. Fair enough, you could hold up your phone and just do a quick 10-second video on Instagram talking about what's coming up next. But why not leave it completely hands-free and have an actual sort of 3-camera multicam setup that can auto-direct itself? You can plug your microphones into this. This particular camera here, the StreamCam 1, actually comes with a clippable microphone, as you can see there. So you can actually clip it on yourself as well as having it on the camera pointing to you directly. So having cameras like the eMeet StreamCam 1 or the Mevos or something in between those, really great options just for expanding the reach and capabilities of your station by bringing you or bringing your audience a video presence and allowing your station to be available across lots of different platforms that it otherwise wouldn't be on there. People don't really go to YouTube to listen to solely radio stations, but they do go to YouTube to watch radio stations. Bit of a strange concept to think, but it just means that there are audiences on YouTube that you could capitalize. There are audiences on Facebook Live that want to see what you're doing. People on Twitch, maybe. Just opens up more ways that you can broadcast and get your radio station out there. So that's it in terms of everything in this bundle. Just to recap, the essentials really are, the more upgraded formidable microphone, the Shure SM7B, the RODEcaster, and the honorable mention there of the RODEcaster Pro 2. So depending on which one that you feel the need to have right there. I've also got of course, the boom arm, the microphones, the XLR, the Zoom H8 if you want to be out and about, and the webcams here just for some video streaming. There is another honourable shout out. It's a heavy box. Let me just get it. Here we go. Oh, blimey, this is a heavy one. So this is the M-Box Studio from Avid. Now, the reason why I just wanted to do an honourable mention to this one is because they very kindly sent us this piece of equipment. And it's an incredibly powerful, piece of kits that, would look superb in any sort of broadcasting studio environment. It's probably not what we would necessarily use strictly for broadcasting, and that's only because it's capable of so much more than just that. Like, I personally have no need to use at least 50% of the features in the RODEcaster Pro 2, but I know that when I need it strictly for radio broadcasting and podcasting, it's going to do everything that I need it to, and it's easy to use. The M-Box Studio is, I guess, best used as a way of recording live sessions and mixing music as it's going through. It looks like, if it's got it set up, it's a very heavy piece of kit, but it's a gorgeous mixer that looks, it's a bit of almost like an old school aesthetic to it. It's got the I was going to say, I don't know, the columns lighting up. It's got a lot of metal behind it. It's very much just like an old school studio sort of setup to it. But have a look at it. If you are looking into doing a lot more stuff than simply, broadcasting radio and podcasting, then the M-Box Studio might be a formidable option for you. Just because it's simply capable of an awful lot of stuff, and it's gorgeous to look at and behold. So just wanted to give an honourable mention to the M-Box Studio because it is definitely an alternative and a preferred alternative to a lot of broadcasters I know, which might appreciate looking into it. Now, there are a couple of other things that you may want to add onto your budget when it comes to launching your radio station, and the things that you may not necessarily think about right away. They're definitely things you don't need to do right away. And when I mention them, particularly this first one, you might be thinking, seriously, that's something I really need to think about right here, right now. But don't worry, there is some logic behind it. So the first one to think about is merchandise. Now, I'm not telling you that before you begin broadcasting your first show, you need to think about what your first T-shirt's going to look like. That's you can do if you want. There's nothing wrong with that, and try and sell your T-shirts and go to events and things. Great, why not? What I'm thinking about more is a way to help you promote your radio station, and a way of doing that is actually some merchandise we've got that we like to take to some of the conventions that we go to. Notably, we've got, not a bus ticket. We don't give those away. What we do give away, though, is things like stickers. We give pens, and we also give water bottles. And really, you want to take things away that people like the look of. They can quickly pick it up, and they can display it somewhere. So a sticker, these always go down well when we make appearances and we assist things at the community events and the student radio conference that we did earlier in the year. And these are things people can proudly sort of stick on something like a laptop, or they can just put it in their room or something like that, or they can put it in the bin, whatnot. But still, even in the bin, this is quite useful because people will still see it and question why it is. But these particular stickers I think are really cool, they're really sweet. And you can have things that have, the logo for your station, your face on it or whatnot. Why not have business cards? If you do use a business card, a good trick with it is to have a QR code that links people to your station, because if there's no good giving people leaflets and pamphlets, and a sticker's great, but you don't want to give someone a leaflet and tell them to listen to your radio station because there's nothing for them to interact with. Whereas if you've got a business card which has your name, your radio station, your logo, and also a little QR code that if they scan it with their phone, it's going to take them straight to a feed of your radio station or your website perhaps, that is a worthwhile piece of merchandise to have, because people can now be introduced to your radio station and instantly be literally introduced to what it is you're playing. So think about stickers and business cards and funky pens and things. It just needs to be tats, really. Just cheap little things that have something to do with your radio station that people can quickly take away or you can give to people, and it has a practical use or a way to be displayed, like stickers and cards and things. So put a bit of money aside, or at least put some thought aside when it comes to merchandise for when you want to begin promoting your radio station. Before then, of course, there's music. If you don't have music already, then you're going to want to spend a bit of money getting some of your catalog together. You can, if you have lots of CDs and things, I certainly still do, spend a bit of time ripping those into MP3 files to upload to your radio station. Sign up for DJ pools so you can get some of the latest music and tracks and things for you to play on your radio station. Pound or less, so barely anything. So, look into getting CDs for a cheap way of getting music. Or there's another service that we like to direct people to, one called I Like Music. And, how it works is the more tracks you buy, the cheaper each individual track works out as being. So it's very worthwhile to immerse yourself in all the tracks and all the genres and playlists that are pre-built on there. So I Like Music is a great place to go to get, music. Oh, blimey. There we have it. A big breakdown of different budgets and makeshift studio sizes to suit every budget you may or may not have. But as I say, let's go back right to the beginning. As long as you have at least a computer and an internet connection, you can get started. You don't need to worry about making sure you have your microphone, your mixer, your boom arms, your Sony Walkman. You don't need to get all that right from the off. As long as you've got the basics in order for you to use our software and begin building that radio station, that music catalog, designing those shows that you so badly want to put together. As long as you have those, you have a radio station that is ready to rock and roll. And if you want to expand that a little bit, you could get away with, as I say, with nothing but a pair of headphones and a USB microphone. Or if you do have no budget and you want to get started straight away, you could actually get away with using microphones built into your headphones or your earbuds, or even the inbuilt microphone on your computer. It's not going to sound great, but it will still allow you to broadcast a bit of your voice, a bit of your personality, and most importantly, that passion to broadcast. So please don't think that a lack of budget or a small budget should stop you getting in the way of creating your dream online radio station. Equipment is by no means essential, but it is necessary if you want to, create something that is more worthwhile, something more proud of, and something that you can generally sort of market and grow over time. But to start off with, don't think about equipment too much. So there we go. So you don't need to actually bankrupt yourself this holiday season. Perfect. In order to get your dream radio station off the ground in 2024 and beyond. So that was, of course, just a small selection of what's available. There are many, many other kinds and brands of equipment available to you. I've tried to expand some of the ones, refresh your memory of some brands that you may not have heard us talk about for a while. But if you want to find out a bit more about some of the equipment available to you, and some of which we've actually reviewed, go to our YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, then why not hit subscribe, click the bell icon, give us a like, and be the first to immerse yourself in all of our kit reviews, tests, comparisons, and tutorials. Now, for you personally, question for you specifically, yes. Do you have any faithful alternatives to the equipment that we've listed? Do you have a fantastic budgeting setup you're very, very proud of? Why not let us know and share in the comments below to help guide other budding broadcasters into making better, more informed decisions. And until next time, take care, happy broadcasting, and, have a very Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 ho! And just before you go, have you ever thought about launching your very own internet radio station? Surprisingly, it's a lot easier than you may think, especially when you make the time to chat to myself or a member of the Radio.co team. To do just that, head to our website, Radio.co/demo, where I can talk about your plans, any questions you may have, and me and the team can really get you up to speed in launching your own internet radio station in literally minutes. It couldn't be easier. Why not check out some of our webinars, tutorials, help guides situated around me? Or why not visit our website, Radio.co, or even drop me an email, studio@radio.co. Until next time, take care and happy broadcasting.